As you grab your seat, I want to remind you, as we walk through this week, we were talking about voices, and we've been talking about God's voice, and we've been talking about how He can speak to us, and how He can create opportunities where we can hear His gentle whisper talking to our hearts. As we kind of walk through this, there's a couple of things that I want to continue for us to remember, okay? We're going to say it again. I want you to say it loud, okay? We want to know a couple of things as we walk through this, okay? First thing, what does this mean? What do we got? 1, 2, 3. God still speaks. That was weak sauce. Come on, try it again. 1, 2, 3.
God still speaks.
Yes. All right. What do we got?
Man's gotta listen.
Say it again.
Man's gotta listen.
Right. What's the last one? Oh, come on. Say it like you believe it. All right. Did anybody? By the way, does anybody know if there's a vet? Because these puppies are sick. That's all I got to say right there. Right? That's for the red voice in the back. Boom! And I hit him in the middle, and it made him mad. And he turned around and he goes, gotta run. So I'm like backpedaling, moving around. I'm like, and this guy literally, it was like a samurai warrior with a sword. He's like, and I can't do that because I'm smaller than him. So I'm like, and he's sweet, and he clocks me in the side of the head. The helmet turned sideways. I swear I was looking at the ear hole. It was like, I fall to the ground and I look up just to see the next blow. Boom! They go, 3 points, Bloyer's down. I'm like, no kidding. He says, yeah, I've been messed with all my life because I'm big. People think I'm dumb. They treat me poorly. I said, dude, don't worry about it. I got your back. He goes, you got my back? I was like, yeah. In my mind, I'm going, I don't know why, but, so we go walking out, and as we're walking out, I turned to one of the guys. I said, any one of you say anything to Private Tiny, and I guarantee you will be messing with me. And the guy looked at me and goes, so what? Tiny goes, he's my friend. He got my back. The guy looked at me and he goes, okay. And of course, I was sitting there going, what's up? We got in line at KP front all the time. And it's beautiful because he just like flexed. The shirt would rip and he'd go, can we go in front? They're like, please, by all means. It's just amazing what happens when you have this gigantic guy that says, I got your back. I got your back. God says the same thing to you. I got your back. In fact, He says a little bit different. He says, I'll go before you. I'll go before you. See, it was awesome because as I was there for 2 months, I actually got a pretty good relationship with Private Tiny. And when I get kicked out of the Army, and I was leaving that day, I remember walking across the barracks to tell him, and he was crying. He says, I've never had a friend that I knew I could trust. I said, dude, I got your back. I got mail from Private Tiny for 2 years while he was in Iraq, while he served in Bosnia. And I got a letter from him when he got out of the Army. He says, you're not going to believe what I'm doing. I said, I'm reading through the letter. He's like, you're not going to believe this. He goes, I'm going to be a teacher. I'm like, awesome. This is because I'm thinking there ain't no way anybody in his class is going to jack around. I could just see it. I ain't doing my homework. I love algebra. So he became a teacher. It's amazing how when you have someone that's got your back, it changes who you are. There's a story in the book of Joshua. Joshua has become the leader of his Israel nation, and now he's the general. He's running the army, and he has to the city of Jericho. He looked up and he saw a man facing him with sword in hand. Joshua went up to him and he asked, are you friend or foe? See, he's the general. He's getting ready to prepare for battle. So he is going to survey the land. He's going to put together a plan. And he sees a guy out there. And I kind of did some studying. A lot of people thought, well, when he walked out, he's the general. Don't you think he'd know his soldiers? He had thousands of soldiers. And so it's like, what are you doing, friend or foe? There was a lot of talk. It might have been an angel. But, in the Bible, there hasn't really been that presentation of an angel like that. Some people think it was Jesus himself standing there. And so Joshua walks up and he says, are you friend or foe? He asks the question because this is what happens. As you're walking the battlefield and you walk up and you see someone, you are automatically prepared to go to war. You're automatically prepared. That was one of the things they constantly said to us in the army. This is not practice for play. This is practice so that you don't die. So Joshua was walking his battlefield, and I can guarantee you this is probably what happened. His hand went to his sword, and he said, "Are you friend or foe?" He was ready to go. He was worried about the altitude of the walls. He was worried about the attitude of his general. God is the same then as He is now. He is more worried about your attitude. He's more worried about your attitude than the altitude or the loudness of the voices that are going on in your life. I want you to know that as you put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ, God looks at you and says, "I got you back." In fact, I've already been there, done that. God says, "I am there with you." In fact, I think Paul said it best when he was in Romans 8:35-39. It says, "Can anything ever separate us from Christ's love?" Doesn't mean He no longer loves us if we have trouble or calamity or are persecuted or are hungry or cold or in danger or threatened with death, or if we have parents that get divorced, or if we're dealing with addiction, or if we're having sex with our boyfriend or our girlfriend. Does God say, "I'm done with you, you're too dirty, you're too ugly, I don't want to talk to you"? Does He look at you and say, "Okay, I know you are a religious Pharisee. You are fake, you are phony to the bone"? Does God say, "No, I'm done with you"? No, it says even the Scriptures say, "For your sake we are killed every day. We're being slaughtered like sheep." No, despite all these things, overwhelming victory is ours through Christ who loved us. Notice He gives a military term. Victory. Victory is for us because of who Jesus Christ is, because He loved us. And it says, "I'm convinced that nothing can ever separate us from His love. Death can't, life can't, the angels can't, the demons can't, our fears for today, our worries about tomorrow, and even the powers of hell can't keep God's love away." I have been in homes like some of you live when I worked in the psychiatric hospital. I've been in those homes doing research why the son or the daughter was in there, because they tried to commit suicide. And I can honestly say, I know some of your homes are like hell on earth. But God says, nothing can separate you from my love. I ask everybody to close your eyes and bow your head. Do that for me. I know that there are some of you that are still thinking, "I got it under control. I don't need Jesus." Yeah, well, you know what? I thought the same thing. I'm going to ask you tonight, where's your heart with God? Some of you came here seeking what it means to have a relationship. I had one girl tell me, I know, she said, "I came here to get closer to God." And you know what? That starts by saying yes to Him. It's either yes or no. There's no maybe. There's no straddling the line. Well, I kind of like this, I don't like... You know, it's either yes or no. So if you've never put your faith and trust in Jesus Christ before, we want to give you that opportunity tonight. We want to give you the chance to say, "You know what, God? I need you. I don't want to do this alone.